Now, Scotland's first multi-faith remembrance service will be held today to mark the contribution made by Indian soldiers who died serving alongside the British Army. The service is taking place in Kingussie, where 9 of those soldiers were laid to rest during World War II. Joining us now is Omar Sheikh, founder of Colourful Heritage, the organiser of the event. Good morning to you.
Morning.
Tell us how important today's event is for you.
I think it's absolutely critical that we across Britain, now more than ever in this current talk of Brexit and anti-migrant narrative, that we remember the contributions of all the BME community in the Great Wars. Over 2.5 million British Indian soldiers served in World War II, the largest ever volunteer army in the history of humanity. And in Churchill's own words, had they not been there, the course of the war would have been very different. So it's absolutely imperative that we remember their sacrifices.
Do you feel that they're not remembered sufficiently?
Yes, we do. And that was surprising to me as well. If you look at the memorials that are around the country for the horses from Australia or the people who fought from New Zealand and the other Commonwealth countries, there's nothing from the British Indian Army other than what you see, a couple of statues on a busy road in London with the names of the countries, not even the names of the individuals marked on it. Last year, we laid a wreath in George Square, which is the second largest remembrance service in all of Britain, and that was the first time ever that wreath was laid to remember all the British Indian soldiers. The fact that we're going up to Kingussie later today to work together with the British Armed Forces to have this inaugural commemoration is in itself answers your question.
And what about the history of this? I mean, how did members of the British Indian Army end up in Kingussie then?
That's a great question. That's a fascinating journey. There was a very special regiment called Force K6. They were a mule regiment. They would help supply the frontline soldiers with ammunitions and so on. So they went to the Western Front. They were the first British Indian regiment on the Western Front, on the front line in World War II. Eventually, they were evacuated through Dunkirk and ended up in Britain. Whilst they were in Britain, and indeed the movie Dunkirk unfortunately didn't represent anyone of any colour in that at all, but when they made their way to Britain, and in that journey many were killed, one division was captured by the Germans, they were training in the Highlands of Scotland and in the Brecon Beacons in Wales in preparation for Churchill's Operation Jupiter, which was an invasion of Norway to come down to capture the German airfields. And that's how they ended up in Scotland. And Scotland has a very, very special connection with this force because we have the largest gravesite where we're going up today of Force K6 soldiers, where 9 soldiers are buried in that one single gravesite. And for many people in Scotland at that time, and indeed Wales, it would have been the first time they probably would have ever seen a coloured person up in the Highlands.
Yeah, I suppose so. Interesting, isn't it? Well, with today's sort of ceremony in mind then, I mean, do you hope that this will be become a more regular, feature then when it comes to remembrance services every year?
Absolutely. We're calling today, we're making an open call today to have a permanent memorial, preferably in Glasgow, and then that stitches itself into the regular services that are held every year. So we're hoping this becomes more regular, and we're hoping that people across society, not just people from the South Asian background, but other people as well from schools where there's no South Asians, just local native white Scots, that they understand the contribution of the British Indian Army. So that's what we're hoping to see going forward.
Good stuff. Thank you very much for talking to us this morning. Omar Sheikh, founder of Colourful Heritage. 23 minutes past 7.